Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at ICP, see what's going on. We actually have a short position open that we've secured profits on with this coin from what was it, $8.21 with a take profit at 787. Good little 21% profit in about a day and a half. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because this bear flag was pretty glaringly obvious, plus Bitcoin is showing a lot of divergence. It just makes sense to short coins like this that were looking pretty weak at the time. Keep in mind though, and this is not, it's not a bad thing for this coin. This is actually looking fairly strong right now. In other words, the way in which it's breaking down, we can see a lot of support, but I don't want you to walk away from this hearing that one thing. There's a lot of reasons why a long position is still not a great option, okay? And if you just took offense to me saying this coin's gonna go down, I would kindly ask that you maybe watch some other moon boys, somebody else that might tell you what you want to hear, because I just like to shoot you straight and tell you how things are, because the charts really don't lie. They tell us kind of what is supposed to happen, and there's also a lot of back-end data here too that helps contributing factors. In other words, it adds to that potential for upside or downside. And simply what I mean by that is just that the charts can tell you like the price is going to go down all day, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, but if you look at liquidation, you kind of combine those two things together, you'll see that manipulation is a super strong, consistent factor in trading, and those are things you can kind of rely on. Because greed, big money greed, ever since the ETF's been approved, we've been seeing a ton of manipulation, and most of it comes from liquidation. So taking a look at here, just to give you perspective, 760 to 770 is a rough estimate there. That's a very distinct probability we're going to see that level swept there. Mainly because there's a lot of people, there's too many people taking longs with liquidation levels or stop losses in that area. Okay, so it's a big problem. We can also see here as well, this is another contributing factor why taking the short felt comfortable in the 820, 830 range, is simply because there's so much liquidation to the downside here. It's crazy. And I get it. This is also a contributing factor in a positive way too, because there's a lot of support, right? More people adding to their longs at certain ranges tells you that there's more likelihood the price will stay there because more people are buying at that level. However, it's a double-edged sword and generally not favorable to trade into high leverage. You want to wait for those leverage levels to be swept and then consider taking along, or set a limit order in those ranges so you can kind of take profit and get in and get out. Once more, at this point, still too early to tell, but we are respecting our descending trend line. Let's go ahead and talk about that first. We've got our macro trend. Let me go ahead and get rid of that here. Let's see here. I've got a limit order at 740. I think I previously set that at some point to consider looking at this here again when we get there. It might be a decent pivot point here for us, but keep in mind, when I set these limit orders, or sorry, it's not a limit order, this is just a trade alert here, kind of letting me know to reevaluate. If that triggers, I'm not just going to blindly jump into a trade. Please recognize that. If you're setting alerts for a few days down the road, oh, AVAX just triggered a long signal, I'm going to go in. You got to reevaluate before you do so, because the whole market can change in a very short amount of time. Bitcoin could be bullish at that point when the price comes down, so maybe that's a good long. However, Bitcoin's looking fairly bearish, and if that's the case, that may not be a good consideration for long. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so all bear flags aside, we can see this descending trend line. So far, we're working below that. We are below every single moving average, generally a bearish sign. We're under 50 on the RSI, have been for some time. The money flow index is below the price action, showing us we have good momentum to the downside, which is always something you do not take a long into and or you short into. When the MFI breaks below the price action, that's a short opportunity. When the MFI breaks above, sorry, not the price action, but above the RSI or below, then you want to consider a long if the price is going up. Those are all things that I look at. Okay, again, I don't just take a long or a short based on this one thing, but everything on the daily time frame right now is screaming bearish divergence. Now again, that's all the more reason why the price could be bottoming out, because everything's kind of maxed out, right? But it's also more reason to respect the fact that taking a long position right now is very irresponsible, okay? So it's cool if you take one, don't get me wrong, and it's cool if you take profit on a long as well. It's funny that some people will brag about that. But if you're bragging about taking a long with an irresponsible trade, you're not a role model. There's nothing correct with that. That's what's wrong with crypto, unfortunately. There's too many people like that. Okay, so here's the thing. With the short position that we have open, is it going to continue lower? My short-term analysis would say yes, based on the macro. But look at the 4-hour here. We're below every single moving average. We're under 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is hitting that sweeter spot. Generally, you're going to see a pivot or a bounce when MFI hits 20 or lower. So I wouldn't be surprised when we start to bottom out here soon. But the MACD, while it's trying to converge, is getting rejected here. Trend strength is low. There's zero reasons to take a long. The only reason why you may consider a long, and I totally get this here, is potentially a double bottom, macro double bottom. Bitcoin's working on one too if it hits 60K. By the way, if we hit 60K with Bitcoin, ICP is going to drop hard. Please recognize that. And recognize this too. Bitcoin has a tremendous amount of volume, down as low as, 60K. In fact, yeah, I'll pull it up later. But the key takeaway here is that there's so much liquidation at the down point here as low as 650 that ICP is more likely to go down than up. Same thing with Bitcoin, 57,000. There's like 70 billion at 57,000. I'm not proposing we're going to see that right away, or it's not a guarantee by any stretch. We still got 60K to contend with. But the point of all this is that double bottoms, you want to give them a chance to hold first. If they break, then you consider alternatives. So I'm not saying you should take a trade in double bottom here. Even though it has a high success rate, everything we've seen here so far is bearish. So why take a long position on a coin that tells you that it has one potential chart pattern while everything else is screaming that it's going to go down? It's just so terrible. I wish I had a good analogy for that. I'm terrible at making up analogies. If you watch me for any time, you'll know that is like a weak suit for me. But in this case here, no matter how you look at it, taking a trade in the blind, trying to take a long, imagine somebody getting into a long right here at 784. They're almost already halfway out. Like they have hardly any profit. It makes no sense. You want to take a trade when the trade is confirming that it's moving the direction you want to head. Right now, all we have is confirmation it's moving down. It makes no sense to long. Ichimoku Cloud confirming everything here, letting us know there's no reason to take a long position. We've literally convinced ourselves in this video that there's no reason to take a long. And does that imply you take a short? Short answer is yes, you're going to find more success the downside than the upside. But once again, we are coming into that little support range, that double bottom. If you're going to short with, short concisely, and make sure you're taking profits somewhere between now and 770, because that very well could be the short-term bottom. Okay. All right, that's where we're at. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. I described that correctly. I'll post an updated playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And if you want to join us over at Bitunix, phenomenal exchange, take advantage of this deposit bonus. Anyone in my community who's been using Bitunix, you're eligible for this. This is what it's here for. It's for you, so make sure you take advantage, have some fun with those futures, and trade responsibly at all times. All right, folks, we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Thanks for your time.